think you should.
Welcome to this week's episode of Whoscussion. We are hosts from Whānau, that random guy, the audibly pleasing Harriet Scally. Yes. And the late crow, as per always, as per recently rather, tell us a bit more about yourself and your presence on YouTube.
Oh, hello there. Yes. So I am a, budding filmmaker. That's what I want to do in life. And I'm starting out in the small, well, not so small anymore, platform of YouTube. And on my channel, which the link can be found for below, is my current attempts at filmmaking. And yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not really a Christmas person, but his Christmas special that he released last year is actually fantastic. I thoroughly suggest it. So I'm going to take us off. I think this is the first time in a while I've started, actually. So I'm doing Small Worlds for Torchwood. Small Worlds is awful. We'll catch you in part B.
Man, I mean, you go first and you start the jokes. So,
I know. I'm so sorry. Okay, so Small Worlds, I don't know. I don't really know. I'm of three minds of this, and the third mind is we should just jump into part B. But Small Worlds starts off with a elderly woman. Is that still the correct term, right? I haven't just put my foot in my mouth. Senior citizen.
What else would you say?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's still elderly.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of call her senile or something like that. That would be.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that because she clearly isn't.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there's an older woman. There we go. Taking photos of these creatures, and they start off as these lights, which I would have had hoped they were the entire episode. But as soon as she turns away, they turn into CGI monsters. And our track record with the mill, I know you guys were overworked, but I've actually seen smaller indie teams handle CGI better than this, and you're being paid millions of pounds an episode.
The weird thing about it is, in particular, is they try to say that they're children who have been turned into this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So why didn't you just
have little
do
girls?
some gruesome makeup on some children?
Yeah.
They're way more terrifying than CGI monsters.
Yeah. I don't know why, especially because at the end of this episode, they show a little girl that's a fairy. Yeah. And throughout this episode, they show footage of little girls being fairies.
Yeah. So how does she become... Yeah, how does she become ugly if later on you see her as not? So that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But
yeah,
you can continue.
Well, yeah, and then it goes outside the government, beyond the Pizza Hut, left at the dairy, Torchwood. Yeah. We're a secret organization everybody knows about. And if anybody tuned in,
we have it sign written on our truck.
Yeah. Yeah, our secret truck, which I'm going to talk. I can't wait to talk about next episode. That's going to be great. So it comes, and then Jax is having a sleep, and he's having himself a sleep inside Torchwood Hub, and he's all having a flashback to. Was it the Great War? I mean, she doesn't seem old enough. It was dubbed 2.
Yeah, it was definitely World War II. Well, the thing is that Captain Jack may have been in World War One though. So.
That's a good point.
When they explain the flashback later, it was 1909.
Oh, so it's even before World War One. Why are they all dressed in World War One attire then? What war were they fighting? The Suez Canal? Is it the Suez Canal War? I think it might be. Hold on. TARDIS Wiki, help us out.
World War One attire would still continue.
Yeah,
it would have been around for a while. So,
does TARDIS Wiki even know? No, it doesn't.
I don't think it
tried to Lahore in 1909.
At this point, would it really care about?
A city in Pakistan. Was Pakistan in war state in 1909?
Is that when they divided from India? When did they divide from India?
You know what? We're being too real about this.
We actually are, because that frustrates me, because I'm a history buff, and I really get annoyed when that sort of stuff gets messed with. No. I am aware... Oh, sorry, you first? What was that? The Late Crow?
That was 1947, so...
Wait, so Pakistan doesn't even exist yet? How are they going to Pakistan?
Well, it's just in the city of Lahore, which is currently in Pakistan.
I see. Currently in Pakistan, yeah, because they were one. Don't say that to people though, because don't. But historically, they were one nation.
Yes.
It's like when you're in Sicily, don't call them Italian. I found that out IRL, so never do that.
Good job.
Which I mean, fair call, because they were brutally invaded. Like Craig, you were going to say something more historically accurate in this episode. Go right ahead. What was that?
Well, there was the partition of Bengal in 1905, which could have potentially had ongoing ramifications.
Ah, right. Okay. Yeah, right. So more of a peacekeeping. Yeah, because I mean, the royal family of the United Kingdom is still heavily invested in India at this time, because it's before the 50s and the 60s, where the Middle East and India were like, can we just stop being part of the Commonwealth, please? And then they just did. Yep. Which I was like, fair enough, man.
And England was just like, we're real souls about that.
Yes, we're real souls, guys. So fair enough. So Jack's going to an indeterminate event dressed in some attire, and they go through a tunnel, and then on the other side, Jack is the only one alive because of Rose, and he's like, oh, wow, okay, this is great.
I don't think that is the case, actually, because I'm pretty sure that like the timeline in this is really weirded out, because obviously the Jack has been in the military previously, but he was also in the military. He wouldn't have been part of the military when he got back from being, done all the things to him, because that's when he joins Torchwood.
Yeah,
and
so
Torchwood wouldn't have let him do this. So this would have been during his time traveling days.
No. So this is post being revived. Jack only visits Earth during the Blitz,
right?
And then
that doesn't make. Then why is he on the train being part of the military if he's part of Torchwood? That makes
I'm confused about that as well, because in the 1800s, Jack joins Torchwood. So
exactly,
does he still have to do? I suppose maybe because they're still really heavily invested in the royal family at the time.
He has to go and join military events and stuff. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yes.
Who
knows?
knows?
It still seems so weird that it
well, Torchwood is meant to protect the British Isles, right? That's why Queen Victoria creates it. So
yeah. So maybe he's part of a Torchwood force then in this case, which could make more sense.
Oh, that'd be cool if they were like a Torchwood platoon, and he's like the only survivor from his platoon. Well done, Jack.
Yeah, but at the same time, it feels like based on the kind of way that they sold it, with like his younger looking attire. He's not wearing the jacket and all that sort of stuff. And the makeup makes him look a lot younger than when we met him in the Blitz as well, actually. Exactly. It makes it seem like he is an event that he went back to when he was not immortal, and he survived for some unknown reason, just because the fairies are messing with him more than anything else, or because he was not responsible for the death of the Chosen One. That's why. But it's still like the whole thing is weird. It doesn't make any sense, and his relationship with these soldiers doesn't make any sense either, other than him seeing like he's having a good time with them. So, and we get an audible explanation, but it's still like this is really pointless storytelling that you've got going on here, and the fact that there's a voiceover explaining what's going on makes it even less understandable. So it's not good.
Yeah, it also Tars Wikia says here that it's post Rose, that event, so it's what he's been doing right up until now as part of being on Earth post coming back. So it is. So young? Yeah, the makeup makes him look younger than an Empty Child. It's really bizarre. Yeah. I don't know why that is. Because John Barrowman, I mean, like, he that brother ages gracefully. So I don't know why they've done that. But at the same
time, I guess maybe like he was make-upping himself to make himself look younger, considering all the events and the fact that he's immortal during this time. So I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty silly, let's be honest.
Yeah, it is a bit out there. So for this to be the case, that means that this event is before he meets Estelle. So he must get interested in Estelle because of this event? Because she's been into the Fae folk for the longest time, right?
Yeah, but the thing is that he says it sounds like this war that he goes on and meets the fairies and things go bad was after him being with Estelle and part of the war.
But it can't be. She's not old enough.
Exactly.
Nah.
So
because she had to be 100 when this episode aired.
It so doesn't make any sense time-wise. But then I guess the idea is that he does, after this event, he meets Estelle, starts hating fairies. But then surely Estelle would have gotten onto that fact that Jack she would have gotten on to the fact that the two Jacks are the same person when the son shows up and still hates fairies for no reason. So
yeah, it's I don't know. That flashback really irked me when I watched this.
It really does. It makes no sense. Why wasn't it just World War II? If they just said it was something in World War II, it would have been fine. World War II attire, World War II stuff going on would have made a lot more sense. But no, they had to mess with it. They had to mess it right up. Yeah,
like imagine like oh no, it wouldn't work. It couldn't have been just before. Yeah, it still would have had to be this present Jack for that to work as well, because it couldn't have been the Jack that just meant 9. Yeah,
it should have been the one that Estelle, he met Estelle and then went off to this war, and that's where this event happened.
Yeah, because Jack doesn't steal the name until the real Jack Harkness dies in World War II.
Yeah.
So, man, this is so annoying. This is so annoying. I'm getting a headache. Okay.
How far through this?
Yeah, we're about 5 minutes into the episode. I'm already.
Well, the thing is that this flashback doesn't actually take place until halfway through. Really, he just sees the thing on the desk that makes him think of it. So
yeah, but he also has he also has a fleeting glimpse of it when he's having a sleep in the beginning. Anyway, he comes out and he's like, "Why aren't you home, Yanto?" And Yanto's like, "I can ask you the same," even though everybody knows Jack sleeps at the hub. So that was dumb.
Yeah,
and I was like,
and Yanto probably does too. Considering what happened, with him not taking her home instead.
Yeah. So if Jack sleeps at the hub, how's Yanto be doing the secret underground working on Lisa stuff? So that's
a very heavy sleeper, apparently.
Yeah.
Even though last episode he says to Gwen, "I don't sleep."
Yeah. That doesn't make sense because he was only made immortal.
This kind of states that this kind of makes the sense though that the reason why he doesn't sleep is because he dreams of all the terrible things that have happened to him. But it's still a blatant ruin of it.
Yeah, maybe everybody just takes retcon. Get it, guys? Get it? That's why the drug's called retcon. That makes no sense. Why would you call a drug retroactive continuity? Doesn't make sense
because
we don't live in.
So they can retcon things later.
That's so dumb. That's so dumb. So Jack's like, "Hey, stuff. Hey," and then it shows us, and then Yanto's like, "Hey, we're bonding, even though last episode was not great for me emotionally."
My character's changing again.
Yeah.
Because we're not sure where it was supposed to be at.
I love the late Krueger slipping in. I'm a character. It's so true. Yanto last Whoscussion, man. I'm a character, everybody. I'm the character Yanto. No, you're not Yanto. You're not a character until Countryside, and then even then, really? So then it shows this like little girl, and the scene I always have hated ever since I started watching Torchwood. It actually made me put Torchwood on hiatus for a year for me to finish this season. There's the pedo, and I was just like, "This is Doctor Who, man."
Well, I mean, it's an adult thing.
Yeah, but honestly, it's Doctor Who.
It is Doctor Who, but the thing is that they treat it kind of well, actually, surprisingly, for this sort of deal. Is that he is a creeper. It's shown like it's actually camera shot well, surprisingly, because the rest of the episode isn't. But so this bit is shot really well, where it shows that he's a creeper, he's doing bad things, and she does the child does some terrible things that children shouldn't do, obviously, but it's meant to make the parents that are watching this sort of have a little fear in the back of their mind, going, "What if that was my kid? I'd fucking hate that."
Yeah.
And then the fact that he gets his comeuppance in that way is very well done for an adult show, and the only way that you can show it is like that. You can't have that sort of stuff in actual real Doctor Who. Don't do that. Having it in Torchwood makes a lot more sense. It would have been great if he'd got his comeuppance immediately, like the moment he touched the child, just like he was just torn to shreds. But at the same time, it kind of works. So.
Yeah, I just think there are storytelling elements that even if the show is adult, you've got to remember that you are an extension of a family series. Yes, this isn't aimed at families, but like you've just got to be mindful of the content, man. And I feel like Torchwood just isn't. And Julie Gardner even brings that up in the first Declassified. she's just like, yeah, we need to be mindful of what we're writing here. And I was like, well, Julie, you obviously didn't pay enough attention, because no.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. That there's definitely, they definitely do need to be more mindful about the creatures and stuff, that stuff that they add to the canon, definitely. But the episode contents itself, obviously, there's meant to be adult themes and stuff in there. But yeah, I don't think that they should have tried to pull it back for any children at all. Like maybe like preteens, that should have been the cutoff point. But that's the point of having adults only television, and the fact that a lot of, like, even now, a lot of broadcasters and stuff still refuse to have certain adult themes even playing late at night, because they think that, you know, children could still watch it and parents would still get upset. And it's like, no, you should go ahead and do it after hours, because if anyone lets their kids stay up and watch that shit, that's their own fault.
It's true, but I just think in the context of the greater continuity, because before Moffat introduces his cracks, this is still very much part of the family of continuity, and that's always irked me.
But it doesn't. It shouldn't affect the rest of it. Honestly, like, sure, like we have to go into TARDIS Wiki and we have to see that that's a thing that happened, but not many children are going to go ahead and do that. It's not that big of a deal, honestly.
You know, and I suppose I'm sort of countermanding it because I have it listed online as part of season 28, because it is. But so I suppose I kind of shoot myself in the foot a bit there as well. But I don't know, that's always annoyed me. It will always continue to annoy me. But we need to continue with the synopsis of this such brilliant piece of television by Peter J. Hammond. What else has this bastard done? You written anything good, bro? He did just this. That's great.
Cool. All right.
Cool. Enough. He's going to write an episode called... Oh, I need to Out of the Rain. Is that the one with the Ghost Maker? Because I did like that one. I remember liking that episode. Then again, I remembered liking something else, and it was awful. So.
Yeah. So
what do I know?
Chickens yet?
No. So Jack is invited by Estelle to come see her fairy thingamabob. And Jack's like, oh, okay, cool. And then she's all like, fairies are nice, and Jack's like, they're not nice. And it's so poorly delivered. And I'm like, I'm sorry that you got given this dialogue, John Barrowman. I'm so sorry. And Eve Miles is like, man, I'm in this episode too. And
okay, I want to quickly side note on that with Eve Miles. So the thing about whales is Fae and the like are very much a part of their culture. You know, that's a thing, because that's where it all comes from. Really, is people like the Celtic sort of religion, I guess, is sort of the deal. That you can't really call it a mythology, honestly. Is that these things are real and they happen, and that's why there's roads that are built around trees. You know, they didn't cut a tree down because it's just a thing you don't do. The sort of superstition that they have. So her just like admitted, just straight out of hand dismissing fairies is ridiculous. It doesn't make sense to her character or any of the other actual Welsh-born characters. It doesn't make sense for them to dismiss it like that. But her especially, because she's seen crazy things happen, so she should understand that it's possible.
Here's the thing that irks me the most. Oh no, you first, Ben. Sorry.
No, continue.
The thing that irks me the most is Owen's from London. Tosh is from London. Yeah. So Yanto is the only other Welsh member of Torchwood 3.
Yeah.
So why is it that the London-based folks are more on board for believing it? And Owen even says to her, stuff she should know, by the way, that the locals stay away from that forest because of the legacy of it all. Yeah. So why is Gwen so anti-believing it?
Yeah. I mean, like, you could say, like, she's a city girl, and, like, that's her thing. But the thing is, like, that's not a real deal for Welsh.
Wales doesn't have cities.
Exactly. Like, it's like if you've seen the shots with Jack standing on the top of a tall building, it's not that tall.
No.
And there's no other building nearly as high of it. Like, that's Wales. Like,
that is Wales. There's Cardiff, and then there's not a hell of a lot else.
Exactly. Unless Gwen had grown up in London and that would explain it really, but her accent doesn't show that at all.
No.
She is very clearly all Welsh all the time.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
it doesn't. It's so weird, but it's almost like the people writing this didn't really know Wales at all and sort of like had been forced to move there to write the show.
Yeah, I feel like you're right on the money there. So they go and have a back and forward. They find a report of this guy getting killed by in an empty cell. And the cops are like, "Hey, Torchwood, we get along with you really well, even though you're meant to be beyond the police."
Meant to be secret.
Yeah. And Jack's like, "You just wait until they keep killing Susie, because that random guy's going to throw his rag when that episode happens." And so they walk in, and Gwen, somehow with her Superman laser vision, she sees that there's petals in this guy's mouth, even though that Tosh, who's right next to him...
I think you'll find at this point she was actually Jodie Foster.
Oh, I see. Yeah. And it's just like, what did
Seriously,
he call you?
This is straight into that, and it's really annoying.
Yeah.
Also, while we're on
What did
that
he
scene,
call you? What did he say? We can't mention that on a family podcast, guys, but it's a great movie. Are you going to say something there, the late Crow?
So when Gwen is using her super Jodie Foster powers to deduct that rose petals there, she reaches for a medical kit that is conveniently nearby, and I'm just sitting there going, what untrained or lazy person just kind of examined this guy and left his entire kit there?
Yeah. I also love the kind of like, it's not really a goof, but it was really, and it was just a thing you could really notice, is that like when she pulls the things out of his mouth, they're covered in saliva, because he's just, he's stuffed these in his mouth to act this out. And as soon as you change shot, it's dry and it's the same petal. And it's like, no.
no, you will die! Unlimited power! And that's the type of dramatic George Lucas acting we get in this episode. It's pretty great.
Very much
it's
so.
pretty prequel level. It's fantastic.
Oh, we haven't even got to the best acting.
Oh
yet,
no!
So.
Oh no! I can't wait! Oh my god! Some real episode 2 leaks in there. It's so good. So they're like, "Oh wow!" And then Jack's like, "I'm told Estelle, they're bad." And then Gwen's like, "I guess I believe in fairies now." And then Jack's like, it's really perplexing that you didn't in the first place. Outside the government, beyond the restaurant, next to the Denny's, Torchwood. It's actually quite a good, there are 2 fantastic Italian restaurants right next to the Millennium Centre, just throwing that out there. They're like, oh, okay, cool. And then Estelle gets a call from Jack, and she's like, Jack, there are bad ones. And I'm like, girl, you've been studying them for 80 years plus. How have you just found that out? And then they're like,
especially considering in their own mythology in Wales, they are not benevolent.
Yeah.
They are frequently annoying.
Yeah. And my favorite,
it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. One of my favorites is also that the myths behind the Norse coming and kicking so much butt was because fairies were helping them.
Exactly.
So I'm just like, there's some bad uns, so I'm confused as to why this is happening. And then Toshiko is like, oh, there's a localized weather storm. You've got to get that, Jack. He's just like, left here, Gwen, at the Pizza Hut. Else be on the police. And they're like, and they're doing like crazy camera angles that are just like, I went to film school, I think. Yeah. And then they turn up at Estelle's house and it's like, she's all dead now, I'm so sad. And then Gwen's like, that wasn't your father, was it, Jack? And he's like, dude, really? Like, the last thing I want to talk about is that fact. I'm holding my ex here and she is ultra dead.
The thing is that, like, it doesn't, like, why does she think that's like a revelation that she's had? Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, the audience is going to be surprised.
All of a sudden? It's like, no, of course. Of course he's not the same one. Why would you even think that he's not?
Yeah, it was so weird.
Also, I love that Owen and Tosh are just like, yep, she's dead, we're out, bye.
Yeah, they just immediately walk away so that Gwen and Jack can have the scene, and then John Barrowman's flipping this old lady's head around, just like, shaking the crap out of her, and I'm just like, dude, she's a human being. And she's utterly like, Cuzzy, when you get older, I'm gonna do that to you in a scene. That's gonna happen. Just like, what are you thinking? It was so peculiar. I was just like, I'm so bewildered by this directional choice. And surely, like, the actress is giving it her all by not going, John, stop doing that. Because I would have.
Please stop. Please stop shaking my head.
Especially since she's been covered in water. And I'm like, wet acting is cold. And they're in Wales. Yeah. So, there's a chance that you are actually permanently damaging this woman. But that's great. Keep throwing your head around, bro. And then Gwen's like, oh, Jack. And then she gets back to her place with Reese, and Reese is like, I'm actually a great character, but you won't get to know more about me until the episode Meet. So, I'm Reese. And then she walks inside, and her place is all covered. And she's just like, oh my god. And then Jack turns up, and then she's like, oh, sorry, pardon me. And then she's all like, she delivers some, like, I don't like sand, like, level of, like, dialogue delivery, the sort of, like, I just want to go to bed delivery. And she just goes, tell me, Jack! And her voice is like, I am in peril, and her face is completely dead. And then she doesn't know where to put her eyes, and instead of them editing it to go straight back to John Barrowman's face, they have Eve Miles just standing there awkwardly looking around the set, and I'm just like, that is some of the worst acting, directing, and editing I have possibly ever seen on television.
I don't know. I've seen some American things that are pretty bad.
Oh my gosh, Grace Point. But like,
you actually watched that?
Oh, dude, yeah. Oh, yeah, well, because like, I can't have like a critique on something if I haven't watched it. I've watched the Twilight films to make sure they were terrible, and they're bad. They're really bad.
Yep.
Yeah, and I actually got in trouble with my wife for watching them. It was great. She was like, why are you watching something this bad? You always complain when you see bad acting. And I was like, yeah, but I have to know it's bad. And she was like, I'm so done. I'm leaving for the day. And I didn't see it for the next 3 hours. It was great. I got in trouble for watching a terrible, terrible movie. So fantastic. You're beautiful. Really? The CGI sparkling makes me beautiful? So great. But yeah, so Eve Miles is all like, I'm Eve Miles. And then we cut back to this girl, and like, it's been interspliced throughout the episode, actually, that her stepfather is possibly winner of largest piece of shit in the world. And it's probably one of the 3 years in a row. And his, like, current wife, or girlfriend, rather, really should be picking up on this, that he's a nasty, nasty person, and has done nothing for the mental well-being of her daughter, who's clearly struggling with some stuff. So she's just an awful, awful parent. And I was like, that's Rose as a mum. And so,
it's like Rose grew up and became this parent.
Yeah, became this lady. It was great. And so I was like, that's what's going to happen to the doctor and her kid. Which Billy Piper recently said that they'd get a divorce. That's so funny that her and the doctor would get a divorce.
Great.
That's
of
fantastic.
Course they would. Absolutely would.
Yeah. But
she would get bored of him, and he would not, like, he just couldn't deal with it anymore. And
yeah, exactly. And then you find there's a meta crisis, Diet Coke doctor just getting drunk and losing himself to the world. But anyway, so the little girl's like, oh, hey, I'm actually surprisingly a good child actor. And she's like, oh, hey, I'm actually considerably better than the mother. And the mother's like, oh, hey, I'm a paid professional, kid, so shut up. And she doesn't seem to see that her fella is the literal opposite of good to her daughter. And I'm just like, you are not a good parent. Hey, do you know the mum from Fairhair? Do you guys have each other's number? Do you share details?
Maybe.
Yeah, and so then she's like, beyond the government. And and this little girl, this is the same little girl that was getting attacked by the pedo earlier. She's protected by the fairies. She wants to go live with the fairies. She doesn't like people. Fair enough. These girls start picking on her, and then she's all like, I am one with nature. And then she turns into Galadriel from that scene in Lord of the Rings when Frodo goes, then you shall take it. And she's all like, you won't take that from me. And the bully girl's like, ah! And I really hope those kids grow up to be better people after having a near-death experience like that.
See, the funniest thing about that particular scene, though, is considering that we live in Wellington, that was just like a light breeze.
Yeah.
And they're freaking out about it being like a micro tornado or some crap like that. It's like, this, you guys need to get better fans.
Yeah, you really, really do. No, to be honest, they're probably trying not to hurt these kids. But
I know, but it's still like
exactly.
That is a light breeze.
Yeah, that is.
They were scared out of their minds. Even the teacher was like in a blanket, like shivering for her life. It was a light breeze.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad, guys. So when
the thing that got me about this scene was the fact that those bullies are being right twats to Jasmine, and the teacher's like a few feet away.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, she's just like whatever.
And then
that teacher's being really unobservant. 2, what bullies would dare do that within literal feet distance of their superiors? Like,
I'll tell you, bullies in a failed education system. Anyway, Torchwood turn up and they're like, we're Torchwood, we're outside the government, beyond the police. And she's like, well, I want to talk to you, even though you showed me no identification whatsoever. Like, sweet, thank you, beyond the police, government, Pizza Hut. And they leave. And they're like, all right, this is the girl who's going to become the next chosen one. And then Gwen's like, Jack! And then Jack turns and goes, what is it, Eve? I mean, sorry, Gwen. You're such an established character at this point. And they turn up at this barbecue. And he's like, it's Wales. It's a weekday. When Harry Scully pointed this out to me, my mind exploded. I was like, it is a weekday. I was like,
it's literally the school isn't even properly finished because they were all sent home during this freak weather event, this light breeze that happened. They were all sent home because of this. So this is like middle of the day, weekday, and they're having a barbecue. And it's Wales as well. So it's probably not even it's not even sunny, probably. Yeah. It's like overcast. And it's a weekday. So
it's so crazy. It is perpetual.
And there's a bunch
overcast.
of people there. Yeah. There's a lot of people there. Yeah. You know, like, don't they have jobs?
Yeah, there's a good 30-ish people, right? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And so, like,
and what is the mother and the boyfriend? Like, where do they work? Like,
yeah, what is their job?
They don't have a job. Like,
that's so. Yeah, that is peculiar. Is everyone self-employed in this area? It's like it's an area of opulence. I don't know. All right, it's like maybe the Time War messed up the timeline, and they're just opulent now. Who knows? We will never know.
Maybe after the Battle of Canary Wharf, everyone's now got a living wage, and everything's just hunky dory. So they turn up at the house, the barbecue goes awry. She's like, why did you get rid of the fence? This is my fence. And he's like, come here, you little wench, and starts grabbing her, and she bites him. You could have totally jumped this fence, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. You're a kid. You, come on. Naturally, you'll climb things because of our evolutionary ancestors. But anyway, he, backhands her, and he's like, your mum's totally chosen a good man here. And he then looks at the camera, and he winks, and then he walks away. And then she's all like, okay, it's time to go Galadriel. And so she's like,
it's time to kill you now.
Yeah, and so he dies, which was just great. And the mum's like, I'm an actress. I mean, no, Roy, I think. No. And then he's all like, I'm dead. And I'm just like, dude, come on. Seriously, he was not a good person. How you didn't pick up on that is beyond me.
Yeah.
And then she's like looking at Roy, and then Torchwood are like, where's the girl? I'm like, hang on a second. Why isn't the mum going, where's my daughter? I mean, what? I'm so confused here. Like, she is your literal flesh and blood. What are you up to here? And then they go off, and Jack's like, hey, you guys want a chosen one? Yep. And then I actually zoned out. What was the ultimatum here?
So basically, the fairies were going to just destroy everything all over the place, destroy the world, unless they continue to get a steady supply of chosen ones. And Jack's like, well, there's not really much I can do about that, so sure, take the go.
Right, okay, cool.
Which kind of sets up really well for his later things that happen.
Oh, man, oh, yeah. Season 3, yes. Yes, what do you do when you're doing a sonic screwdriver? This is what you do.
We just fast forward to then and just do that.
Just skip right to season 2.
Let's skip right to season. I actually, I've been looking at some, clips of season 2, and I'm like, oh, maybe we should just go season 3. We're not watching season 4, right? That was established in Whoscussion canon. We're not doing. Thank God.
That's not canon.
Yeah, Can I just? Should I just delete that from my cloud? I own it on Blu-ray. Yeah, it's not good. I actually might. I'm gonna do that today. I'm gonna delete that. It's so bad. Oh, but I want to keep the I've got K9. No, you know what? I'm gonna keep it.
It's not continuity. Okay, you're gonna keep it? Alright, fair enough.
Okay.
Oh, I could put it in the EU! I could put it in the EU folder!
EU.
Oh my god, I'm gonna put it in the EU folder. I love you guys so much. That is happening after we finish this. I love every single atom of your being. And so Torchwood walk away from Jack grumpy, which makes no sense because Jack just saved Earth. He's like, I just saved Earth. And they're like, yeah, but this girl is like, yeah, she's now magic and immortal, so...
Yeah. Like, she's got what she wanted.
Yeah.
Like, the only person who really suffered here is... Well, the only person who's, like... Who morally wasn't really that bad was, obviously, the older lady. And the mother, I guess, she doesn't really deserve completely what happened, but she was still kind of terrible.
Yeah.
So,
While we're on the mother...
Yeah.
Okay, so how strong of a retcon must Torchwood have given that woman? Like, she watched...
erase her entire life.
No, actually, correction. How much did they give the entire party? Because the fairies revealed themselves to everyone there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why they're not beyond the police anymore.
Yeah, they left at the coin save, you know.
Well, the thing is that, as we were saying before, considering that fairies are still a part of, you know, Welsh culture and all that sort of stuff, all these people who are Welsh here, they would just accept that that's a thing that happens. They're
like, we're Welsh, so
they're like, okay, fairies make sense. Yep, totally, for real.
Yeah, and so the episode is over, and everybody's grumpy at Jack, and that's it. So, I'm going to grab the Late Crow's thoughts, Harry Skelly's thoughts, and then I don't have any, so we're going to go in the countryside after that. So, the Late Crow.
Okay, so, right. I've kind of interjected a lot of my nitpicks during the synopsis that we all have here. But, okay, let's see. What are my biggest nitpicks? Okay, the painful CG of the fairies was bad. That was so not good.
Yeah. And that's the Blu-ray remaster, by the way, guys. Just throwing that out there.
Oof,
it's the CG that was bad.
And that riff that plays every time the SUV drives by the camera is so distracting. Down, down. It's like, really?
Yeah.
I mean, like, mid-while... Yeah. I mean,
they've got to play on the radio.
It's like, while the fairies are mid-causing mayhem, just suddenly SUV, down. It's like, okay, who thought this was a good idea? Editors? Someone? Yeah, they, what was his face? The pedo guy at the start, I can't remember his name, I don't care for his name, but that guy, when he was stumbling about in the market, the way he was acting, why did no one approach him and go, dude, are you okay? Or it's like, the way he was acting, if I saw someone like that, I'm like, dude, this guy needs a hospital.
Yeah, he needs help, right?
Yeah, it's just like, and everyone's just like avoiding him. It's like, no, I'm pretty sure people don't act like that.
They can sense the pedo.
Yeah. The pedo is strong with you.
It'd been marked by the Fae, so the only people who care were people who are not from Wales.
Oh, there we go.
That's, okay.
Still a shit reason, but
but I'll accept it over the non-reason that's given in the episode. Small Worlds. I think Small was describing the brain of the writer of this episode. It was just not good. Lots of things that shouldn't have happened, but they did, and bad acting.
Oh, dude, the acting! Wow.
And just it was when Jack comes to Gwen's apartment. Where did Reese go in that moment? Reese just go.
I gave up.
Reese go. I'm
going home.
I'm a good actor, so I'm going to leave this scene.
He lives with Gwen.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to my real home. I'm going to the trailer.
Yeah.
I'm Reese.
I'm a character.
I'm still more of a character than that Ianto fellow.
Yeah, actually, has more motivation than he does.
Have you noticed that he never changes as well? Like, he's always just like the good guy boyfriend. Like, he's actually more consistent of a character than literally everybody else in the show.
It's good. It's good. So,
like everyone actually knows how to write him. It's just amazing. They know how to do that. Every single one of them.
Yeah. I just want to get over this episode as soon as possible. My thoughts have mainly been spread out over the last almost an hour. I'll pass over.
Well, I'm not going to let us finish this very soon. So yeah, my obviously the big gripes are the bad acting, the bad direction, the bad production in general. Honestly, there's obviously some good actors like the child actor, the old lady. I can't remember her name again. Estelle. She was fantastic. And I really wish that she'd like had a proper part to this and not just like died in the first 10 minutes. For real, like she was actually really good. And just having some Jack backstory stuff, fantastic. So yeah, there's little bits and pieces of this that are okay, and that's the main gripe that I have with watching this with my partner, is that she's capable of looking past all the badness and just accepting the show as it is. I just can't do that. I can't do it. So I get really frustrated watching this sort of stuff. But particularly the thing that I'm frustrated the most about this is the lost potential of the Fae in Torchwood, because especially in Wales, where the Fae is a thing, which is what I've been saying the whole time, is you can have a whole variety of things happen because of this. You know, you've got a godlike creature that's been around humanity its entirety, obviously because they're children that have been turned into this thing. So you can have a countless number of episodes just devoted to around these malevolent things, just doing bad things that they can't, that Torchwood are unable to prevent, basically. And instead we just get a terrible character episode about terrible people that get their comeuppance at the end. That's not very, you know, we don't have any real feelings about that. We get like the tiniest build up about these bullies, and they're not even the ones that fully get a comeuppance. You know, they're the ones that just get a little scared, and the teacher gets scared as well when she was clearly not terrible of a person.
And she tries to help the girl as well.
Exactly. So the pedophile, he gets his comeuppance. Obviously, I would have preferred that he got it immediately, like his arm just got immediately cut off or something, like razor leaf, you know. Yeah. Then there's the dad. I mean, obviously, not the dad, the boyfriend. That whole thing doesn't really make sense. Obviously, he was a bit of a doofus and just not a nice person in general, and really probably the reason why she became like this. Honestly, it seems like that she's receded from everybody else because her mother went with a douchebag, which it happens unfortunately too many times in real life.
Yeah.
But the idea is that we didn't really get any like sense of how that dynamic worked as well. Like we can assume that is the case, but the only things that we can really say for sure is that he says some bad things to her, like takes the fun out of her being a loner and having imaginary friends and stuff, and just generally not like thinking about her when he's got to do stuff to like pick her up from school and all that sort of stuff. Like that's all we get about his character. So when he dies, it's not really that fulfilling. Like we're sure like, yeah, cool, the bad stepdad's dead, but it's not like, it doesn't fit the crime, you know, especially considering how like overt it is. Like he doesn't just get like choked with like in a cell or anything like that guy did. He legitimately had the Fae's arm in his mouth all the way into his stomach. Like that is crazy. That is intense. And it's also not really a way that a child would think about killing somebody either, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
That the Fae are, if they're trying to sell that the Fae are children-y play things, then probably their deal would be playing games with people until they die, instead of
the toy maker. Can we watch this list of toy maker again?
Yes, exactly. So you know that's my main gripe with it is that potential for this type of creature just went out the window because they just wanted to do a character piece instead of actually taking the real elements of that and using it. Because you could use the Fae in any of its varieties, the fairies, the leprechauns even, or anything else. Obviously not in Wales, but things like that they could use to have a mad variety of episodes from saying that they are from the saying that the cracks caused this the crack caused this superstition to happen because of these things that came through. Obviously the Fae are eternal beings from the dawn of human evolution, that sort of stuff. And they just went, you know what? We're just gonna do it about a kid. Like that must have been what happened. Is in their writing room, someone threw out the idea about having it be about a kid that like gets taken away at the end and basically has a terrible life and wants to leave. And someone's like, oh, let's just use the fairies. I was like, no, please, the fairies don't.
The fairies, so, no.
That's my feelings on this episode. I'm really sad about it.
Right. Okay. I did say I wasn't going to add to this. And I kind of lied a little bit. I'm sorry, guys. I'm with Harriet Skelly here. I think there was a really missed opportunity. But one of the things I'm confused about is are the theories fourth dimensional?
Yeah. Well,
right.
Even more than that.
Yeah, because they're in a photo, and
they're definitely
in the past.
They're definitely time related. They do say that they can go back through time.
They come from a different plane of reality.
Yeah. So
the invisible is where they come from.
I feel like this. I feel like there's some other writers universe.
Yeah. That's kind of how it's like.
Okay. So Jack says that he thinks they're part Mara.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So
he's never seen a Mara in his life.
He's never seen a Mara in his life because their physical earthly shape is a snake, and their multi-dimensional form is echoes of the human psyche.
Yeah.
And
they travel via your brain. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't do that.
Yeah, they're brainworms. So
yeah,
I just don't get why that was said.
Yep.
It thoroughly perplexes me because, like, we've gone over the Mara arc.
It was someone feeling cool about having read that word somewhere in the scripts. They were looking back through old scripts and like, oh look, this word. Oh, it's like it's got some cool like crazy things going on about it. It's like psychic stuff. Okay, we'll use that. No?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Exactly. Now, he says that the word nightmare comes from Mara, and
that also makes no sense.
Also, that's factually inaccurate, because it's actually Maida.
Yeah.
Not Mara. It's Maida. That you can look that up, guys. It's Maere, just like Mariah and Maori, actually. It's that. No, that isn't correct, Jack. That's no. And so there's so much wrong about this, and it annoys me because, like, we went through 2 seasons back to back of Doctor Who, forgetting Classic Who had existed, basically. Yeah. And we get this like sneak peek into one of my favorite aspects, which is the Pantheon in Classic Who. I love the Pantheon in Classic Who, and I love that like actual Christians came up with that. They're like, oh, and the Whoniverse God's not real, and that still blows my mind to this day. Like devout religious people are like, oh, it's all right. Like that's so cool, and I don't think that's something that would happen in Christian made television now. So just wow. The idea of grabbing this character and like not bringing that into the CGI designs of the enemies, like if you are going to say they're part Mara, you know, some scales, something that represents a reptilian nature to the beings, but they just went with this like
to make them look like they're Mara.
Yeah,
like if you're going to say that at all.
But what makes no sense to me is when we see the girl in the picture from the early 1900s. It is the early 1900s. In the early 1900s, we see that picture of the girls, and the fairies look like little girls with wings.
Yeah. So why do they look like this?
So why do they look like this? CGI? Yeah, it's so dumb because like you're gonna use the reference pictures of these fairies. Have those be the fairies.
Yeah.
And if you can find a child actor as good as the one that was in this, and you get a couple of more, you have those couple of more be the leader of the bad fairies that wanted to become the fairy. Like it's just
exactly.
It's so simple.
And another missed opportunity there is that you could have easily have done this as a like good fairy versus bad fairy sort of deal as well.
Oh wow, yeah.
You know, like have the ones that are the CG badness and have the ones that are the girls that have got latex and stuff applied.
Yeah.
And fake wings. Like that would have
and
been
Snake Eyes because they're part Mara.
Snake Eyes because part Mara.
Yeah, there's so much that just fell apart in this, and it's just a puddle of goopy nothingness. And there's a reason that this Peter J. Hammond fella has only written 2 stories in the Whoniverse because he ain't good. Yeah, just wow. Just wow. We're going to jump into Countryside now, but just like I feel deflated.
Fair.
So, Countryside. Oh, this season has random shoes, right?
Yes.
Oh no!
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
it does.
I remember you being sad about this last time.
Okay, so Countryside, take us away, Harriet Skelly, please, before I end it.
Okay, so Countryside. Oh my god, Countryside. Okay, this is a sort of episode that comes in the 3rd season when you've lost ratings. That's
actually.
So it's really weird that they decided to do it in the first season. It's so weird. Anyway, so we get a bad horror start off with a girl in a car losing cell phone reception, and seeing what she thinks is a body in the road. So she slows down. Somehow she slows down, even though she's going crazy speeds, and should have probably just hit it anyway. But anyway, so she slows down. She gets out, shakes on it. It's just a soccer ball in a hoodie. Yep. And then she gets grabbed out of her car, and spooky stuff. Somehow the brake lights are on, even though the keys aren't in the ignition. Don't know how that happened. Guess it's just a bad make car. Anyway, that's the start of it. Just to say quickly before we continue, the last time, the next time on Torchwood thing that happens last episode doesn't actually give a lot away as part of this, which is really nice. And that's why I kind of thought that this episode was going to be okay, but it wasn't. So
no, it wasn't actually an episode of Torchwood. It was an episode of Scooby-Doo. Didn't you know?
Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
It was kind of.
Yeah, this is the AO spin-off.
Except it didn't have that terrible scene from Love and Monsters. Which
oh my god!
Anyway.
Shut up about Love and Monsters. We don't have to watch it again ever, okay?
So, we go back. We have a title sequence left at the pizzeria, and we're at the burger joint now instead.
That's so true.
So we're in the middle of Wales. Countryside, as explained by the actors, because no one knows how to write these things anymore. So they're just about to chill out, have a burger. They're explaining what's going on. That some people have gone missing in this area, and they're obviously thinking that it's some sort of alien interference, all sort of stuff. And they're about to have a burger, and for no reason whatsoever, Toshiko gives up the information that somebody got food poisoning from a place like this, and they're all sort of about it. And I'm like, this is not necessary to the story.
I would have just ate it.
Explain what was going on.
I would have just ate it
as well, especially considering Jack is, a highly evolved human being.
I actually physically can't eat it because I'm allergic, but I would have.
So I still would have eaten it because it probably wouldn't have actually been red meat. So.
Yeah, just some gristle on a pan.
And you would have eaten it after numerous times Harriet Skelly tells you not to.
Yeah, exactly.
I love how even the late crow knows.
Anyway, so they go off and camp in the countryside because this is what they're going for. There's some really bad character development going on here. That's not even really shouldn't even really be called character development, and it's just it's really bad writing. It's undevelopment, and it's
reverse engineering characters.
Yeah, it's bad writing. It's bad things going on. It's bad just decisions. It doesn't make sense to their even within their own story. It's so weird, and I don't know. Just just watch. People should watch this episode to know what to not do with characters. For real, it's not good.
Factually accurate, Harry Skelly.
Also, camera, which I failed to mention before, but we'll get to. But actually, no, I'll bring it up right now because it's probably one of the worst camera angles I've ever seen in my life. when she was in the when we're back at the beginning, the prequel part, where she's in the car and she's freaking out about going outside to look at the body and stuff. There is this terrible camera angle where someone must have put the camera in their lap, facing up at her. Why? Why would you do that in a car? Don't do it ever. Anyway,
continuing. No, it was 1080p, man. It was fantastic.
So bad. Okay, so they're camping. They go off. Gwen and Owen go off for no reason whatsoever. There's just they're trying so hard to make some semblance of this relationship between them make some sense, but it's not working. It's not working in any case of the word, and it's just horrific. It is embarrassing to watch. It is disgusting to see happen. Just no.
This goes back to what I was talking about earlier. Stuff that shouldn't be in the Whoniverse spoken, like obviously it happens in the Whoniverse, that just wouldn't be spoken about. And he says some words that I won't say here because I still like to try and keep this family friendly. But he says words about specific parts of the human anatomy that happen during copulation. That what in the hell did you write that into a Whoniverse based story? I hate you.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even appropriate just for an adult, show.
Yeah.
It's not appropriate for that. The entire thing that goes on between what they're trying to force in this doesn't make any sense character-wise. It doesn't make any sense human-wise. It doesn't make any sense adult fiction-wise. It doesn't work because there's no real feeling between these two characters. They have the two actors that are playing these two. The two actors that are playing them have no chemistry at all as well. They have, they've only been filming this for a little while, so they don't really connect either. So the acting about it is terrible, but just the writing is terrible as well. There's the words that they're saying to each other, the actions that happen throughout this forest scene where she's up against the tree and in the script, it says act like this is sexual, and she doesn't know how to do that in this situation.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense. It's so dumb. But anyway, then somebody's behind them. They run off with guns blazing, and then it's a very Scooby-Doo moment where they come up against each other again, even though they should know because it's not a crazy dimensional space. It's literally just a forest. How do you not come against each other again? But anyway, they find a dead body. Which is just a skeleton that's stripped of all of its fleshy bits. So it's just like the
carcass.
It's just the carcass, basically. It's like the entrails. The practical effects on this is actually kind of alright, honestly. Except some of them kind of look really fake, but we'll get to that. But this one kind of looks like it is they've actually got it off of a CSI scene, so it's pretty good. But then. In haste, they call everyone to the scene for some reason, even though most of them aren't medical examiners.
I'm Yanto. I'm here for no reason.
Just to check it out, find out what's going on. They're like, oh, this is pretty crazy. Like, what sort of alien has done this? Really laying thick that whole thing that they think that it's an alien that's done this because, aliens. And then the truck gets taken, thieved, stolen. That's the one. And they ran after it, and it makes no sense. Just the way that they act about it, just nonchalant. Oh, the truck's gone, and then Yanto's got a tracker for it somehow. All right, makes sense. So they follow the truck to a village in the countryside, which is not really a village, more like just one building. With a pub and a bunch of it's like a state housing sort of deal, but it's just like in the middle there's the pub, and then on the sides there's just the apartment, like the flats. It's a really weird design going on here, but I'm guessing that that's the idea. So they send off Yanto and Toshiko to get the truck and meet them back up at this this place that they're at, these flats. While they continue to search them, and they find a couple of dead bodies throughout, and they're freaking out, thinking that all the townspeople have been killed. But then they they split up, sort of, where Owen looks at one of the bodies in one of the places, while Gwen and Jack go off and search every single one of these flats. One of them, Gwen is terrible, not a police officer in any way, shape, or form, because she just busts into this place and gets shotgun blast into the stomach, which I'm not 100% sure on how this sort of works, but I'm pretty sure that even with a bunny rifle, where you're using it to hit a bunny, and you don't want it to like destroy the meat, but you're a really bad shot, so you sort of you just have a buckshot sort of deal. I'm still pretty sure at the range that she was at, that would have ripped the side out of her.
Yeah, she would be dead.
Yeah, so I'm not very sure how she survived that. But anyway, she's okay because Owen runs, and they have another weird, not sexual moment where she's like almost dying on a table, and for some reason she's suddenly no longer in pain and is actually horny again.
Yeah, and Owen's like really like touching with her, like they're like been married for a while or something. Like he's just it's so weird.
Considering that like the sexual tension that you were trying to pull off before was all about like not being sensitive and touching at all, and then all of a sudden it's about that. No. Who wrote this? Child wrote this. Anyway,
you don't want to know.
It was Chris.
I do know.
It's concerning.
Yeah, it is very concerning.
I could understand if this was written by someone who didn't understand the female experience at all. Like someone who was not, heterosexual.
Maple syrup.
But Chris, what were you thinking? Like, what was happening here? It does feel like Russell sort of leaded this on the way. Like,
but the thing is Russell hasn't been part of the series since the pilot.
Yeah, but he is a producer of it, though. He is a producer, so I do feel like he does have some say over it. Gwen and Owen need to have a thing. They need to have a thing for some reason. Because, like, how am I going to make this work? I don't know, just do it. So
just make it happen.
Yeah, I feel like that is the case. I really hope that is the case. Chris, please.
Here's a bag of maple syrup while I'm away.
Just to remember him, May.
If you get desperate, just pour it over your scripts. It'll be fantastic.
Anyway, so that's all happening. The kid who shot her is freaking out about things coming to get him. I'm not sure why he doesn't just explain what's happening at this point.
Yeah, it's so weird.
It doesn't really make sense. Considering, but anyway, then they decide to barricade themselves in and just trying to protect through the night because Yanto and Toshiko still haven't shown back up. Meanwhile, Yanto and Toshiko have been kidnapped somehow. They're supposed to be sort of combat trained. Not sure how they just got overruled like that, but apparently they did.
Yeah, Yanto was tripped over, and what even happens to Toshiko?
She just disappears all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that works. They're really trying to play off that like this is something that's alien, but as we all know, that's not quite what happens. But anyway, it's still so silly. Anyway, they are now in a locked cellar sort of deal, and are trying to figure out what's going on. They see a lot of clothes all over the place, yet this is not the place that they get killed. So why are they closed there? Anyway, there's a fridge in there that's got body parts in them that are terribly CGI and don't really look like human parts. Yet for some reason, both of them freak out about it. And then a nurse comes in. She seems like she's a nice person. She's really not. She holds shotgun to both of them and is like, "Come on, I'm going to take you to the place." They go to the place where the bad guy that Jon Snow kills from
Alistair Thorne.
Yeah, Alistair Thorne's there. He's actually an alright actor for this. It probably would have worked if the story wasn't bad. But anyway, they're having a time, so we'll get back to them. But otherwise, over with Jack and Gwen and stuff, they've barricaded the walls of the doors and trying to protect from the people the things they think it's things at this point that are coming to get to the kid and them apparently. So they've barricaded the doors, and the doors are being like somehow the barricade that they put in place to try and block the door, that wouldn't work. It's just a pile of chairs. What were you thinking? And somehow the chain on the cellar, like the back door sort of deal, it just gets broken after one hit. Now that we know what the real enemy is, and it's just humans, how did that work? Why? How did he break that?
Who knows, man? Who knows?
It's like they planned the majority of it, and then at the end they were like, oh, so what should the thing be? Humans. Oh,
this is like Mark Gatiss' writing room.
It really is.
What should the ending be? I don't know. I'm Mark Gatiss.
So yeah, basically that's how it goes. But anyway, so Jack shoots the guy in the cellar a couple of times because he's Jack, which is good actually. But the guy at the front door, he gets shot several times with a shotgun and other weapons. Yet he seems like he just got away scot-free somehow. So not sure how that works. But anyway, Gwen and Owen run off for no reason. Yeah,
and then Jack disappears for the rest of the episode.
He pretty much does disappear for the rest of the episode. He's apparently torturing the guy in the cellar for information about what's going on. After freaking kind of like being like, oh, you guys are people. Oh, this is weird. Anyway, Gwen and Owen try to track down what's happened to the kid. They meet up with a police officer, and they're like, oh, kind of relieved, kind of not about the whole thing. The acting is really terrible because of what's going on between them anyway. Toshiko has managed to escape after Yanto does something completely out of his character, because he's got no character, and headbutts that guy, which was actually kind of excellent. Honestly, one of the best things that happened in this episode. Toshiko runs away, and she does the worst things imaginable in a horror movie. She lies down on the ground and tries to hide, and then makes lots of noise, and then she doesn't just keep running when she's finally got away after kicking them in the balls. Why does she not just keep running?
I don't know.
Why?
Toshiko is so peculiar to me.
Her character hasn't been fully formed yet. Still don't know what's really going on there. But anyway, she gets captured again, but luckily Owen and Gwen are there with the police officer. But as it turns out, the police officer's in on the whole thing. Pulls a gun on Owen.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. He pulls a gun on Thorn. Owen pulls a gun on Thorn. The police officer pulls a gun on Owen, and Gwen pulls a gun on the police officer. And even though they really do have the upper hand here, Gwen still gives him the gun.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all. Gwen just sort of blowing his brains out. I was like, what is happening right now?
Yeah, why didn't they just both shoot? They're both trained and they have the upper hand here. If Thorn had a gun as well, or actually was a threat, then he would have been a problem. But because two of you have a gun and only one of them has a gun, you both shoot and it's fine.
Yeah,
or
I don't understand
while
this.
the police officer's attention has been diverted to Gwen, why didn't Owen just smack him? You're all bad at this. Especially the writers. Anyway, Gwen still goes over the gun. Owen just looks at her with just like, are you serious right now? Hands off the gun as well. They all get pulled back into the place and basically figure out the entire town is in on the whole thing. And that's when Duke's Ex Machina, Jack comes in with a tractor and blasts them all. He pulls a full-on Bruce Willis where he's got a shotgun, he's got several other handguns on him. He blasts every kneecap in the place. And then it's over. It's all over. And it's like, how... This is not set up at all. I mean, I understand that Jack's a badass, but still, this is Deus Ex Machina if I ever saw it.
Yeah, especially since he's been missing for the last 20 minutes of the episode.
Yeah, he was torturing that guy to find out information, but did he just go off to find the tractor? It's what? No, this is so weird. And then for some reason, the episode's still not over, and Gwen needs to know why he did it. Why?
Oh, I hate that. Cannibalism has been a part of human society for actually since the beginning. So this whole I need to know makes no sense. There are books you can look up in the library that will tell you why.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Human beings by nature are just that devious. It's it's not hard to fathom that people would get that crazy. I mean, sure, like it's a bit weird to know why the entire town was sort of in on the whole thing. That's a bit weird, and I would kind of want to know that, but you wouldn't find that out by talking to the lead guy. You know, he wouldn't really know. Talking to the rest of them, find out the actual lead up. And you're not a psychologist, Gwen. You're just a police officer. It's not like you're going to really know from them telling you. You got to try and figure it out in their minds. So this is really pointless. But anyway,
she's being Jodie Foster for a moment.
Yeah, she is being Jodie Foster. That's really, really interesting why they decided to make her Jodie Foster. Like, we've already got Jodie Foster.
I'm so editing that scene where she meets Hannibal Lecter for the first time. That's happening.
Perfect. Yeah. Just it's Thorn over Sir Anthony Hopkins and it's her over Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
That's perfect. And then instead of that, it's because I liked it.
Yeah. Because it makes me happy.
That's the one. Because it makes me happy. That is the silliest thing I've ever heard. Like,
and Gwen seems like it's rocked her whole world as well. I was like, shut up, Eve Miles. I mean, Gwen.
And then the episode finally ends. Finally, after struggling through the whole thing. So yeah.
Right. Well, thank you very much for that. I'm so sorry that you guys had to go through this again. I'm also sorry that you might have noticed I was very quiet for a couple of minutes there. I went and used the restroom. I'm not even gonna lie, that happened. I was just like, this is so dumb, and I don't need to put in any input. So,
thanks.
Hey, I have my Bluetooth headphones on, so I could hear you. But so I was still engaged in your conversation. Just I was an active listener.
Or you sure that wasn't just saying could have gone? Oh crap! It's nearly in the synopsis. Fuck.
I did. So straight up though, I was like, come on, come on, buddy, do your thing. And my buddy was like, nah, Bo, I'm on vacation. I was like, why? Murphy's Law. But we're going to grab the late Crow's thoughts on this major masterpiece in human evolution, Countryside, which, oh my God, that pun is so dumb. Anyway, take us away.
Okay. Yeah, there were a lot of it was just a bunch of bad writing, like right out of the gates. Just the interactions that they all have at the camping site is just so dumb. Like it's almost they forget who or what everyone's character is. I think the thing that
what characters?
So much,
we've got Yanto who's like, I'm a character, and Toshiko is like, yeah, no one says my name right, so I'm Toshiko.
But there's that random that's dumb thing they do where they're like, who's the last person you cast?
Oh yeah, what? No. And Toshiko, who's the introvert of them all, why is she the one that asks that? I was like, what's happening here?
That would not.
Why is she suddenly like she's back in high school? Like, why does this need to be a thing?
Yeah, and then
the down note of just it was Lisa, and then it was like, man, we really thought you weren't here anymore.
Yeah. Actually,
that line's the literal personification of I'm a character.
Yeah. It so is because everyone forgot about Lisa. It's so fantastic. Like even the actors are like, who the fuck is Lisa?
Yeah. Oh dear. And that thing that because Owen is being Owen about camping, which is fair enough, but Tosh offers help and he's all like, I wouldn't ask you, and I'm just like, really? You seem to have decent rapport in previous episodes. What's going on now? Why?
Why would she set up that whole thing where she's in love with him for some reason?
Do you mean by set up? Do you mean shove down our throats with no foreshadowing whatsoever?
Yeah, and it makes no sense. Like Pilot Gwen, and Day 2 Gwen, they're not this Gwen.
No,
I'm pretty sure each episode Gwen is different from the last. To be honest.
Exactly. Which is funny because I remember when we first watched Torchwood, that was one of my wife's greatest criticisms. She was like, "Who is Gwen?" And I legitimately couldn't answer that.
She is the writer at the time. And I think the funniest thing is that Chris wrote many of these episodes, is incapable of having a significant, like, just normal in person for Gwen. Like, he just went all over the place with her character.
Yeah.
Like, you're the only one writing her. What are you doing?
She's your character. What are you doing here? Please don't ruin Jodie's season, Chris.
Please don't ruin Jodie Foster.
No, Jodie Whittaker.
Oh, that one.
Because please don't, Chris.
I mean, he's sure. What did he do before Torchwood? I don't know, but he's done Broadchurch since, and
he did do Broadchurch, so he's clearly.
So maybe he's learned.
Yeah.
I don't know. The whole sex drive between Owen and Gwen is this all supposed to ride off the back of that terrible thing they had while hiding in that body thing last episode?
Yeah.
Is it all supposed to ride off this?
It is.
That's so bad.
They were in a box that dead people were in. Why did they get sexually charged there? It was a box that literal corpses have decayed in. What about that makes you sexually attracted to each other? Because if that is an issue, Gwen, you don't need to ask that guy why he did things. You need to ask yourself.
Yep.
Well, I mean, Owen is a medical examiner, so I could kind of understand him.
Be desensitized, no way.
Yep. Just when the team are exploring the village, it's like, did you actually write this episode after watching Scooby-Doo splitting? If you know there's an active threat, why are you all splitting up so willy-nilly?
That would never happen. And they're meant to be like, have a military background, Torchwood. And I'm going to tell you right now, the military don't act like they're in a horror movie.
No, but they really don't. It's so...
Oh, and also Gwen still doesn't know how to hold a gun.
Yeah. That
tractor scene, I'm pretty sure bursting out laughing should not be the reaction.
Oh yeah, I was on the floor, man, when that happened. I was
too.
Because Jack leaves the episode for so long, and then he just appears, and I was like, this is so dumb.
And he's just suddenly a badass. Like the thing is, like, if Jack just had his own show, like it was just him, like none of the other characters or the people, none of the other actors were there, it would have been fantastic. Just Jack, just casual Jack.
Yeah, Torchwood's done that as well. Big Finish has done that. It's
they have. That's good. So
it's really good.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is they did just Jack by himself would have been perfect, and no, they could have.
Here he comes in a really great tractor. Here he comes in a really great tractor. Yep, actual. Even TARDIS Wiki acknowledges that.
Yeah, TARDIS Wiki actually says that's actually where the beat comes from. Here he comes in a ruddy red tractor. It's so good. Also, I've moved Miracle Day to the EU folder, so that actually happened.
Oh, right. you couldn't even wait till after.
No way, man. I was like, I hate this season. You were EU as far as I'm concerned. The cracks have removed you, bro. Gone. I'm like Disney in 2015. You are no longer canon.
Oh, man. There's a scene, or when, what are their faces? Characters. Tosh and Deanto, that's right. They're so mismatched characters, I forget their names. They're in the basement there. And Deanto's all like, we must be deep underground. And meanwhile, Tosh is looking at this thing that looks like one of those sort of shafts, so it's like daylight just right up there. I'm just like, are you sure you're deep underground there? I'm pretty sure you're not.
Yeah, and he says it.
In Wales, they've got a different definition for what deep is.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, so is that why when every time a writer of Torchwood tries to be deep, it's really not?
Whoa!
Yeah, they really mean shallow. Wow.
It's just
that's accurate.
And another thing I hate so much is that at the end they think that all the non-setting up of Owen and Gwen is enough for the audience to be complicit or even agree with the fact Gwen's having an affair. I'm just like, no, this is not okay.
Yeah, what the hell? I'm not on board with that at all.
No, and it's just like the way they play it is like they're really expecting the audience to be on board with it, and it's like, no, I'm really not.
Like kind of like they're like setting it up, like trying to say like, oh yeah, this is just a thing that's happening now. It's like, no, it shouldn't be happening. Not at all. Stop it.
Like
initially at the beginning of this episode, it kind of seemed like it was rape. Like
man. When he hit up against the tree and he was like grumbling at her, and I was like, that's sexual assault, cuz.
Weird. It is.
Yeah. Oh, hey, we're writing an extension of Doctor Who. Let's forget that for no reason, and that's why I actually dislike Torchwood.
Pretty much.
It's kind of. I used to look back fondly on Torchwood, but now coming through it, I'm just like, what? Why? I don't know.
That's why.
Yeah.
It's because of season 3. It so is because of season 3. Season 3 is so good that you just forget how bad season 1 and heaps of season 2 actually is.
Except for that time that Owen is casually an undead king of the weevils, and it's great.
Oh yeah, man. And they foreshadowed that correctly. Not like Gwen and Owen getting together. That wasn't foreshadowed. That just happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure something else just happened in the writer's pants while writing it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was the actual inspiration for the story.
I call this mess countryside. Family show.
Let's go out and let's go out and celebrate with something like pancakes with maple syrup on top, because I'm so proud of myself for this.
Denny's all day breakfast. They could rename it the Russell.
Yeah, and then just round the corner from Torchwood, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
That's about my thoughts on this story. It's so Scooby-Doo like. It's adult Scooby-Doo, and it's bad.
Yeah, adult Scooby-Doo way. Like
it's
when Warner Brothers really runs out of money.
Honestly, it's really not adult though. That's the thing.
It's like teenage fiction.
They're trying to sell. Yeah, it's not even really good. It's not even really good teenage fiction. You know, like it's
not even good fiction.
No.
But yeah, it's just it's so not good. Like I don't know how they managed to pull out a second season. I'm glad that they did, but I don't know how they managed to do it. Like it's got to be just the teen watchers, because that is really legitimately the only people that could enjoy it properly is preteens. And even then, once they grow up, they realize that it's not good.
Like us.
It's sad. It's a sad realization when that happens.
Yeah, it's so annoying because like I didn't start watching Torchwood until I was in my 20s. And so, like, I didn't get to have that sort of, like, moment of, like, you know, like...
You didn't actually get to enjoy it at any point in your life.
I'm, like, watching it, I'm like, this is really bad. And, like, my wife and I, we were, like, really worried about watching Season 2. Season 2, it's got some highlights. I think when Martha joins is quite good. But Season 3 is really, like, that was amazing. And so when they announced there was a Season 4, I was very excited because I was like, Season 3 was a masterstroke in fiction. Yeah. And it just wasn't. So now Season 4's EU. And I don't care, it's my cloud, so I can do whatever I want.
I'm pretty sure there's an interview somewhere where Chris Chibnall himself says that Season 4 is basically just kind of an abomination to Torchwood's canon.
Yeah, no, I know. Chris was very, very vocal about his distaste for this, because he was the head writer of Torchwood, and then Russell takes it to America and he's the head writer of it. I was just like, that's a bit weird. It's not even your show, bro.
I mean, as much as Chris did some not good stuff, that was not cool.
Yeah, like this. But Harry Skelly, Countryside.
Yes. Terrible pun, terrible episode. I'm done.
Well, I'm glad that's out of the way.
No, really though. Just there's terrible camera direction again.
The tractor scene is so poorly framed.
Terrible writing, terrible. That's basically it. Like every aspect of this was not redeemable. I don't feel like it was. Like the only, like, the beginning part with the horror stuff, like that kind of works if you're gonna do an actual horror episode, but it wasn't wasn't scary at all. It was silly and dumb. Like that's every part of it. And then you've got the reveal at the end of it being humans. You're like, that doesn't, it doesn't make sense to what you've been showing us this entire time with people. The things that were there seem like they moved at, like, in the corner of your eye sort of deal. Like, sure, like guerrilla warfare sort of deal, that kind of makes sense. But these are just townsfolk, and they don't look like they're particularly fit or lanky in that sort of way where they'd be able to pull that off. Like, it doesn't work when you do that, and it definitely shows that they had a different idea for where they were going with the end of this, and then just decided to do people. And the thing is that, like, every other show that I've ever thought of that had like a monster of the week sort of deal, they didn't do the it was just people until at least their second or third season, because they knew that it's a silly thing to do, and it really devalues what you give to your audience as well, to say this, you know, to say, oh, it was just people in the end. It's like, that's not an answer. Like, because we all know that people are monsters. Yeah, we get it. Like, we've seen it 100,000 times. You don't need to put that in there.
That's why we try and escape into fiction. Because
exactly. We try to escape with this. Don't give us the harsh realities. We don't need that.
Yeah, I think the aspect of humans being the monsters, again, I know we choke, the chain of Classic Who, but I think when Classic Who had that real subtlety of not telling you humans are the monsters when they are the bad guys in the story. And I think one that always comes to my mind, and I brought this up last week actually, is the Silurians, right? So the Doctor's like, I'm gonna break a peace, and then humanity blows them up because they're like, nah. Like, they didn't even try. They just kill him. Like, the Doctor's like, you didn't even try, man. Like, what? And you have to be, when doing this, to stay away from being ham-fisted, or you take out any punch the story can have.
Absolutely, yeah. That's absolutely right.
So
and it does definitely show that. It's just the very look on their faces when you get that like proper reveal, when they're like, it was just the townsfolk all along, is just like, they even look like this is dumb. They're like, this is dumb. Stop filming me. Like,
was this the gag reel, guys? What's going on?
Yeah, like, it's just so weird. So weird.
Yeah. For me, I hate how closely this resembles Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think you can do a cannibal family story without copying Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is closest to the remake that came out in the early 2000s, which I actually didn't think was bad, in my honest opinion. They had their whole sort of found footage at the end. But what I thought was perplexing to me is the fact that they had stolen narrative beats, not as an homage, but a complete rip-off. And one of those being predominantly the cop is in on it.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
That's again from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, where they had the actor who played the marshal from Full Metal Jacket. The well-known screamy angry guy. Yeah, so they had they had the actor who played him do it. It's funny because like he wasn't actually an actor until he was in that film, and now then everybody wanted him to be in their movies.
That's not technically correct. He did play the same character in another movie before that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Off the top of my head,
because he was actually a marshal in real life. So
yeah, he was. He absolutely was. But like, there was another movie that he played a marshal again. Like, that's why he was brought in to do this. But he was brought in by Kubrick to teach a guy to do this. And then Krueger was like, actually, no, just do it.
Just do it. Yeah, so anyway, so the cop is completely a copy of that, and like the fact that it's everybody's in on it. I was just like, there are ways you can do a crazy cannibal story without copying the most famous one. And the thing is that like they could have gone the Ed Gein route, which is where the Texas Chainsaw Massacre comes from, is actually an actual serial killer. I mean, you could have just gone with a serial killer, and like and then Gwen can have that nuanced moment of I want to understand you. It could be that he's
Jodie Foster if it's a serial killer.
Yeah, exactly. But there are aspects that you can do that stop you from being a copycat.
Yeah, I just feel like that that sort of episode is not something that you have in your first season when you're trying to build your canon.
Yeah,
you should. Every single episode that you have should be a brand new thing, and some of those things should come back later for more introspection. And this could have gone very well into building up something that we've already seen, or just a brand new thing that can be introduced later. A human eating alien that leaves behind carcasses, because that would be terrifying later on to know that there's more of them around. Instead of just thinking that, it's just small town crazy people, it's way more terrifying to think that the Rift could dump something like this down all the time, that there's a possibility. That would be way more terrifying to know at the end. So, yeah.
There's a missed opportunity within the show's own narrative, as you've brought up there. I mean, there's so much that you can do that stops you from being a copycat that I'm surprised is a copycat. It's just like they even mention the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the story, and that frustrates me because it makes it on the nose and the point that that's what a comedy does, right? When a comedy references another film, that's where that happens, right? Like for instance, like in recent memory, Come with me, Sinead O'Connor, 1993. Like, you know, a reference to Sinead O'Connor's appearance on MTV, like, Saturday Night Live, and it's just like, what in the heck? Like, you know, you can't do it in a straight-faced, serious production. Owen's outburst in the woods with Gwen it comes back to a game complaint I had in the last episode. Stuff that shouldn't be associated with the greater Whoniverse canon is that conversation and what he talks about doing with Gwen. And I'm just like, look, I'm not saying that because I'm a prude, because as Harriet Skelly knows, that isn't the case. But, you know, when you're building on in a franchise like this, you can't do it. We're getting an adults-only TV series of Star Wars soon, done by Jon Favreau, and I don't think he would ever be dumb enough to have a conversation like that in an expanded universe Star Wars television series. There are things when you are expanding the mythos that you just don't do, and that conversation in the woods that actually, as Harry Skelly said earlier, looks like rape. Like, it does. I was like, what is going on here?
Especially because the actors don't know what they're supposed to be acting, but it does look like rape otherwise.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely agree with all of that. That there's definitely some things that you don't try to input, but when you've got your reins on an adult show, what you should be doing instead is having proper adult themes. And the idea of adultery is an adult theme. Yes, I'll say that as a given. And even bondage in its many forms is also that. But what you were showing there was not either of those things.
No,
it was terrible terrible ideas for what characters would do in certain situations. Like, sure, I can understand that, like, what you're trying to build is the fact that Gwen is feeling trapped in her new job because she's not allowed to tell anyone, and she's trying to reach out in the way that she does. That's kind of a human reaction, but the way that it builds up does not work, because if there's anyone that she would try to latch on like that, it would be Jack, considering he has pheromones that make her attracted to him. And the sexual scene they had before, you know, the one that's with the gunplay up into that. Exactly. So it makes very little sense.
You know, in series in season 2, there's a scene involving Gwen and who you presume to be Jack, and it's really dumb, and we're going to talk about that in a couple of months, and it's going to lead right back into this episode of Whoscussion. I think Jack missing for about a half of the runtime was a peculiar choice, and he becomes Deus Ex Machina, as you said earlier, in the plot itself, and that really lowers the stakes for any sort of threat going forward. I hate the term going forward, but that's all I can say here, because, you know, throughout the progression of the series, you can't really have that moment of tension because Jack can just Super Saiyan. And
he can just show up with a gun and shoot everybody in the kneecaps. Like, that's
that
suddenly has bullet time. Like.
Oh yes. So as the late Crow would know, actually, late Crow backed me up here. Yes. When you film a slow motion scene, you do not do slow mo in post. You use actual settings on a camera or a specific camera to film slow motion.
If you want to look good, yes.
Yes. So they did slow motion in post quite clearly in this with Jack, and it is awful.
There's a reason why I have not yet done slow-mo in my films, because I do not currently have the equipment or the settings on a camera to do so.
Exactly.
As much as I might have the ability to do it in post, I do not.
Yeah, because it looks awful. There are things that have to be done on the day. Tacky. Yeah, exactly. Like, there's so much that has to be captured on the day, and if in post you're like, it'd be cooler.
That's because to get slow-mo properly, you need to have a much higher level of frames per second captured.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you haven't done that on the day, then you're just making the normal frame rate look dumb.
Yeah, and there's so much smearing. It's like, one of my favorites is Jack spins around, like he does a complete 180, and he just looks like somebody took the smudge tool and smeared it across the screen. And I was just like, this is a visual nightmare. What are you doing here? And the thing that frustrates me is the directors on this show are actual directors, like proper directors. Could it be the DOP that's at fault? I wouldn't want to throw shade there, because the director has the final say at the end of the day. So
I feel like it was probably...
Yeah, it's so dumb. Just what a disaster. What What a train wreck. I'm so angry.
I think you mean a tractor wreck.
Oh, just yeah.
Countryside.
Just yeah. I hate this, and it's annoying because Alistair Thorne. I don't know what the actor's real name is. I'm so sorry, but he's Alistair Thorne to me. But Alistair Thorne.
He is just Alistair Thorne. Yeah.
Who actually gets redeemed in the book, so I was a bit annoyed in the show. But Alistair Thorne, he has been in Doctor Who before via Big Finish.
Yep.
And he is so stunning in that. And he's actually a lot older than he looks. It's crazy.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, he was good in this though. That's the thing. Is
he was good.
He played what he was meant to be, and it's kind of sad that he didn't get like a better element to that. Like, if he'd been like a crazy alien thing that had been killing and eating people, that would have made way more sense, and he could have sold that very well. Oh. And it's sad that they just gave him human instead.
Yeah.
Like, that's boring.
Like I could imagine him being at like the master of the house in Chimes at Midnight. You know, they constantly eat. You know, he constantly eats.
Yeah.
And it's like just that idea that like his metabolism is just so incredibly insane that he needs this urge to eat, and he's eating just anything.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Exactly.
Well, next week we've got an episode that actually further annoys me, which is Greeks bearing gifts, because there's an alien that species that has some situations, and that alien is in the first ever scene of the Sarah Jane Adventures, and I was like, okay, so this has even muddied the pool a bit more, because the first episode of your children's program features an alien that had its brains shagged out in your adult show. Wow, I hate Russell T Davies so much. And people who defend him, I'm sorry, I hate you too. So, we'll catch you next week. The Late Crow, as always, thank you so much for joining us, and we're closing out. Catch you later.